So this is Sham. Today we'll be talking about data visualization, primarily related to dashboards. Because so basically, the today's 1 hour session will be talking about different aspects of data. How should you present the data? Because as a business analyst or data analyst professional, or even as a data scientist, you come across a lot of exercise where you analyze data, right? And eventually you have to present your outcomes. So what kind of visualization techniques, what kind of errors do you make? We will go through that so that the ultimate outcome is like pretty impactful. Because you must have seen, without a good visualization, the ultimate impact is not like the perceived impact doesn't come that much. So we'll talk about data visualization for the next hour or so. If you have any queries, you can put in the chat box or you can put in the forms floated by Guvi. Okay. So let's begin. What is data visualization? Okay. So before this, what is basically so you must be interested in either data science or business analytics or any data profession, right? See, the ultimate objective of all these professions is to convert data into information, isn't it? The final objective is to convert some sort of raw unorganized data into some sort of information. And what do I mean information? What do I mean when I say information is you can take some actionable insight on top of that data. Like let's say, okay, let's take an example. uh, let's say as an e-commerce company like Mintra, you are facing a lot of order returns, right? So you will try to figure out, so you have the raw data, like, okay, from which location, which product, or what kind of people are giving me a lot of returns. But this is your raw data. Information is so then you do certain analysis on top of this data, and the eventual outcome is, you must have seen that certain for certain products you can't have COD option, right? You can only have to prepay that for that product. For some products are not available for certain pin codes. Some products basically they you basically, there is a upper cap on the number of products which you order. So all these insights, like all these actions, helps basically to reduce the returns rate, like the return which is coming, even for such products, some products you don't have return option but you only have replaceable, like replace option. So eventually all these insights helps you reduce the return rates, isn't it? So this is what, like, this is just an example of conversion of a data to an information, which basically helps you in reducing the return rate. But in this entire flow, right, you analyze a lot of data and eventually show your insights in some sort of charts, okay, like bar graph or line charts or histograms, right? So what kind of charts we should prepare, and how to like make sense of those charts is what we are going to learn. Okay. So in a very basic sense, what is data visualization? Data visualization helps us translate numbers into a picture which can be interpreted very easily. Okay. Because you understand, right? Like whenever we see a picture, like any sort of trend, like trend line, it is better to show in these kind of charts rather than just showing numbers like 20, 19, 18, 16, 12, okay, 9, 15. These numbers, it's very difficult to understand if you just throw some numbers. But if you throw a chart, anyone basically can understand the numbers pretty easily. Okay. The couple of reasons basically which are very important in data visualizations is, it helps you analyze the patterns, basically make sense of data. And the second is communication, or communicating insights to others. Because guys, majority of times you will be analyzing these data in isolation. Okay. And once you are done with the analysis, you must have done a lot of different analysis. Okay, you might have developed some models, or you might have done some RCA. It is used to do, like, visualization is primarily, the target audience is executives, right? Like the managers, the upper management, the execute stakeholders, right? Senior stakeholders. So that's why having a very strong hold on data visualization is really critical for your professional success. Okay, we'll see in certain examples. So let's look at this data. Okay, if you look at this data, right, tabular data, this is tabular data. Okay, and this is basically one kind of bar chart. Okay, so you can clearly see that this bar chart is pretty easily receptive to your eyes, isn't it? And the second is, what is the information which you are trying to drive here? The quarter two had a very severe dip in the sales, or you can also say that it has the least amount of sales, basically quarter two, right? This is, from a tabular data, it is pretty difficult to understand. You have to look at each and every data point to understand this. Okay, but in case of a bar chart, you you can quickly analyze that, oh yeah, q2 there was a significant dip, then it was a reversal, and then it has stayed like that. So bar charts are very convenient way of presenting a lot of analysis, because majority of us, when you are analyzing in Python SQL, you will get data in such format. Okay, uh, and if you just export that format and show it to the business team or executive team, then it will become difficult for them to understand that output, isn't it? So that's why this kind of pictorial format works pretty well. Okay, so this is an example of bar chart. Okay, the other is, even in certain scenarios, you'll be dealing with a lot of tabular data, right? I completely understand, because I come from the same domain. We deal with a lot of tabular data as well. So rather than presenting a simple tabular data, plain vanilla tabular data, you should use some sort of heat maps. Okay. So heat maps, when I say heat maps, what happens here is you assign the color basis the value. Like there is a gradient coloring which happen basis the value. The higher values are basically darker colors. Let's take an example of different shades. Okay, let's say you have taken red. Okay, so the lighter red is lower values and the darker red are basically higher values in one scenario. So the general convention is, guys, people use red, then green, and then basically transition from green, yellow, and red. Okay, so whenever you are trying to pitch something, that something has gone really wrong, especially in something like RCA, okay, root cause analysis, then you use red coloring, formatting. Okay, because you want to highlight the something which has gone wrong, so it becomes pretty evident. Okay, everyone will go to the, like, quickly see the red box. Green shading, or green coloring, is used when you're trying to, let's say, drive something that, like key driver analysis. So you're trying to portray something positive, like this factor is the most important factor and we should focus on this factor, some analysis like this. So you are driving some positive point, then you should use a green color coding. Okay, and green, why yellow and red is basically when you have some ordering, right? You want to highlight that some metrics are doing well, some are average, and some are doing pretty bad. So either in ascending order or descending order, you can decide basis the data ascending or descending. So these kind of color coding are really important when you are doing heat maps. Okay, and heat maps are really important when you are showing a lot of data in your presentation. Okay, so yeah, purpose matters basically. See, guys, a lot of time you must have observed that while watching a long presentation, you sometimes skip what the person is saying, right? You miss out on that. So that's why visual, basically, these charts helps a lot. Whatever, so for every slide there should be a main chart, okay, or some note which you want to highlight. Okay, so that even if someone misses, they can basically go through that chart and then, or go through the note, so that they understand it. And sometimes we also add speaker notes. Okay, or sometimes appendix documents or additional documents which can't be put on the PPT, but for a detailed explanation, you add those documents. So the purpose, what is like whatever is the purpose, these sort of requirements are defined by those purposes. Okay. So some reference for those who are not able to understand. This is just a like hygiene check, guys. It depends on the scenario. If you are doing it internally, then you don't need these kind of specific documents. But when you are sharing data or sharing analysis to external teams, then you can then you can attach supporting documents as well, so that they understand better, because they have not heard your presentation, right? They need some backing documents as well. But yeah, that was the purpose, like what is, whether it's internal, external, or senior stakeholders, right? So supporting documents, those things are required. The main thing is the content, right? How do you pitch the content, and in what way do you portray it? So what we see here is the same data has been portrayed in couple of manners. Okay. One is basis the pie chart, and the second one is basis the bar charts. Okay. So I think maybe I can take a pause for a second and just think which one is a better way of basically portraying the data. Which chart is better? What do you guys think? So in this scenario, just think like which type of chart do you like? Not enough like, basically is a better representation of the data. So I'll tell you what's happening. So a lot of you basically, what happened is you understood this bar chart pretty easily, but you are more inclined towards this pie chart because it looks like new type of, and it looks a bit interesting, right? Than the conventional bar chart. Bar charts are assumed pretty boring, right? So whenever something new comes in, you like it. But guys, understand, there are strengths and weaknesses of both charts. Bar charts, you know, it's very easy to depict some sort of trend if you use a bar chart. Okay. So pie charts are not good for trends. Okay, because we don't, as a human or as a human being, we don't perceive angles better if you want to analyze trends. But bar charts are very good in, because you can easily say that okay, there has been a sharper dip after white Hispanic, so the trend is very easily identified in this. But if I ask you guys, just understand this, that if I combine these three, are they higher than whites or not? This thing is difficult in bar chart. We, for comparison, pie charts are better. Look at this. If I combine these three, are they bigger than the blue one? No, you can easily say that. So for basically comparison, pie charts are better. So it depends on what is the point which you want to drive home. Okay, whether you are looking to assert more towards the trend of the data, or you are trying to assert more on the comparison, like okay, look at the composition, these are the top 5 composition, and uh, so this was the highest, and the next 3 are even lower than the highest one, isn't it? So these kind of understanding you want to, so it depends on what kind of understanding you want to give to the audience. Okay, guys. Yeah, types of data and comparison, guys. Basically, these are uh, group bar chart, or called column charts as well. So whenever you have certain categories like uh, group 1, 2, 3, 4, whenever you have categories, you basically uh, picture it in this format. Okay, you create these kind of charts, and these are tabular charts, which we have already discussed. Like these are called heat maps. Okay, just one thing here is, sometimes you have two categories, let's say male and female. Okay, and I want to show what is the sales across the years for different categories, male and female, 2018 or 2019, what was the sales. So use such kind of basically column charts, okay, which are combined. So grouped, they are called grouped bar charts. Okay, so these are just one categories of charts. Okay, this is also pretty common, guys. This is called stacked bar charts. So look at this, bar or column chart. They are used interchangeably. Okay, they are not like this is bar, this is column. They're not different. They're same things. Okay, so a stacked bar chart, they are primarily used to track the composition across time. So if you see here, stacked bar chart here, it is shown in terms of percentages. Okay, basically the composition. This entire thing is 100%. And what was the composition of this blue one across different questions? So generally, what happens is, if you want to show, let's say, the market share. Let's say this is the cab industry. Okay, this is the cab industry, and you want to show the market share across different years. Let's say Ola, Uber, and others, right? So this is the 100%, and this is 2018, and this is Ola. Okay, and it has been growing across years, basically. So in this way, you want to show that, okay, the market share has been growing up across years. You won't use, see, generally market share are depicted through pie charts, but pie charts, you won't show three pie charts, right, for every year, and say that, okay, the market share has been increasing, and pie chart is like, and you're using pie charts to depict that. No, this is not a right way. For different year, you are picturing pie charts separately. No, so stack charts are better in that sense. Okay, in this case it was 100%. There is another type of stack chart where we use absolute volumes as well, because guys, in this case, right, the volume you don't know, right, what is the market, basically the total market size of the carbon industry, isn't it? Here you just know the composition. Okay, so if you want to drive home a point, which is like, okay, what is the basically the market value as well, then you can basically say that, okay, this is Ola, Uber, and this is the composition, and over time the market size has been, okay, let's say this is a cab industry, so it has been increasing. Okay, so I can use it in absolute sense as well, the stack charts. Okay, so this is Ola. Okay, so it has been increasing. So this tells me the absolute market size which has been captured by Ola, not in terms of percentages. Here I was talking in terms of percentages. So this was a trend of market share. Okay, and this is a trend of the market size which Ola has captured over time. Okay, so in this case there is no upper cap on the size of the stack chart. Okay, in this case, if all the stack charts were of similar length, in this case it won't be if you plot absolute data, absolute revenue data. Okay guys, so like a lot of times it depends on what you are trying to drive home. If you are trying to drive home the point that the market share has been increasing, then you should use this kind of chart. If you're trying to basically say that no, the market share has been increasing but the volumes are declining, isn't it? Like sometimes, let's say the market share has been increasing, right, but the entire market size is shrinking, so this is not a good sign, isn't it? So even though at a percentage level you are doing well, but you are basically, your overall revenue is shrinking because the entire market is declining, which means you are doing business in a shrinking market, isn't it? So it depends on what kind of analysis you have done and what you want to communicate, which chart to pick up. Okay, and obviously pie charts are used for basically proportions, market share, like when the entire sum is generally around 100%. Okay, yes, and now we have, so guys, the main fundamental is, all these type of charts, but how to use it so that your communication is really impactful is what we are trying to share. Okay, so line charts, we all have applied line charts here and there, right? But primarily line charts are used to display long term trend. Okay, so trend analysis, it is a very strong tool for doing trend analysis. Okay, trend analysis is really critical, guys, because let me give you an example. uh, there is a company A, okay, and there is a company B. Both have a sales of, let's say, 1000 crore, okay, per year. So in 2022 both have done 1000 crores. So if I ask you which company is doing well, you would say that, okay, at an absolute level in 2022 both companies are financially at the same level. But to really comment on that like which company is doing well financially, you have to look at the historical trend as well, like how they have reached, like what was the path which they took to reach this 1000 crore. For company A, it has been going down, like from 5000 crore, 4000 crore, 3000 crore, and 2000, and then 1000 crores. Okay, from 2017 it has been a downhill. For company B, it was 10 crores, okay, 20 crores, 100 crores, and then 1000 crores. See, eventually both are at same level, but the trend clearly helps me understand that the company B has been doing pretty well. They are doing all the right, they are taking all the right steps. Their product is being liked by the customers. That's why there's a positive trend here, and there is a negative trend here. So trends are really important to assess the business of any uh, company. Okay. So look at this. Across time, I am plotting the trend, and line charts are the best. Like they are the best helpers there. Okay. There is one. Okay. There is one difference. Like, there is a one point which you should know here. Look at this. The axis starts here from 55%. Think in what scenarios you should start with 0%, and then in what scenario you should start with certain some different axis, like some different axis value. Okay, just think on that point for some moment. We'll discuss that as well. Okay, there are certain scatter plots as well. Scatter plots are very useful when you are analyzing the relationship between two features, especially two numeric features. Okay, so on one axis you have first numeric feature, and the other axis you have the second numeric feature. If I have to take an example, let's say, okay, in retail industry, as we give more and more discounts, the demand, the basically sales should increase, right? The moment we give higher discounts, the sales will increase. So if I give, let's say, 50% discount, let's say, then the sales will be here. If I give 40% here, here, so we have multiple data points from the past, and we see that there is a trend, right? Clearly, the moment we give higher discounts, the sales increases. So this is an analysis. Like, I want to understand in some scenarios, guys, even if you give higher discount, there is no difference in the sales, isn't it? Can you think of a product where even if you give higher discounts, the sales will be almost like this, the overall sale will almost remain stable? In the second scenario, I'm giving higher discount, but the sales is almost stable. Think of that kind of product. Okay, hint would be commodity products, or let's say wheat, rice. You can't eat more than what you need, right? Isn't it? If you are eating, let's say, in a month you are eating 2 kg rice, or 3 kg, 4 kg, whatever, if it becomes very cheap, you will not start eating more and more rice or wheat flour, isn't it, guys? You will still eat that much. So those kind of products have this kind of like this kind of effect, like inelastic to discounts. Okay. uh, Read about elastic, inelastic products. Okay, what are complementary products, what are, so there are different kinds of product who behave with prices differently. In some case, so our assumption is the moment we increase the prices, the demand goes down. The moment we decrease the prices, demand goes up. There are a lot of deviations to this. Read on that. Okay. The network graphs and all, this is not relevant here, but yeah, line charts, scatter charts, these are really really important, and you should understand how to use them. Okay, if you want to drive home a pattern that okay, this is what is happening, then you should basically, whenever you are trying to show some relationship between two features, you should use scatter plots. Okay, so some tips for useful charts and graphs. See, the general convention is you should use the full axis. Okay, isn't it? Like, you start from the zero, and you should go up all to the 50, 60, 80%. But in some scenarios, we have to deviate. Okay, so, and in some scenarios, people use this like basically they start with some other level to manipulate the data, guys. Okay, so this is where you need to understand when to use it and when not to change the axis. Okay. Highlight the most important information. So whenever you are like making a chart, right? You are, let's say you are highlighting some trend, whichever number you want to highlight, basically like bolden that number or draw some like highlighter there, circle them, so that whenever someone sees a chart, the first thing which they notice is this point, or let's say like this, and then this spike happened in the sales, right? So you highlight this point up, so that the first thing which they see is this highlight, and then they understand the main communication which you're trying to drive. Okay, consider if legends labels detract from your point. Okay, legends and labels should be in place. They should not be overlapping. There should not be too many labels as well. So guys, I hope you understand the difference between legends and labels. Okay, let me show you. Yeah, so this is called legends, like when you describe, like, okay, this blue line is group one, the other lighter one is group two. Okay, this is legends. And labeling is when you label the point value as well. Okay, what was the value here, like let's say 73%, okay, 72%. So these points are called labels. Okay, consider the data to ink ratio. Obviously, like you should not have like a lot of data and pretty less like charts. Presentation is all about, like, okay, that basically the data business analytics presentation is all about having more and more charts and less text. Pass the squint test. Basically, it should be easily understandable, like whatever you're trying to drive, is it coming out of that slide or not? Think about the sort order. Okay, so guys, you must have seen like a lot of bar charts, right? If I put a bar chart like this doesn't make a lot of sense, right? If you don't put any order, then the bar charts are not helpful. Like a lot of people start like they start in alphabetical order, like the product which start from, this is like, let's say sales, and these are different products. So they will start with the product which starts with A, B, C, all these things. So this doesn't make any sense, right? If I have to understand where how this product is doing, it's a relative thing, right? I don't want to just see the sales of this product. I also want to see how it is doing with respect to others. So the moment I have a stacking, basically the bar chart in order, I can easily comment that how it is doing with respect to the other products, whether it is in the top 5, top 10 or not, isn't it? So that is there. And always ask for a second opinion. Like if you can get like you show your visualizations, you show your analysis to someone before you uh, uh, present it to the final audience, or you can also take a feedback post the final audience. Common problems: too many informations, poor color choices. Obviously, too much information. Obviously, guys, like you're writing a lot and you're not giving a lot of charts. Okay, poor color choices. Obviously, like if you are trying to say that what makes people happy, okay, what are the factors which makes people happy, okay, and you are using a red color for the entire charts. See, I'm using red color so that your attention comes here, but in certain scenarios, the objective of this problem statement is like, what are the key factors which drive happiness of an individual, and you're using a lot of red colors in all these charts. It doesn't sync well. Okay, variety for the sake of variety. Okay, always put the charts which where you are able to drive some outcome. Okay, don't put any random charts. uh, and even when you are driving some outcomes, it should not be the common ones, like I said, right? Like discounts and sales, people know that as you give more discounts, sales will increase, right? So this is not adding a lot of information to my understanding. If the reverse is happening, let's say in your data, if you give discount more, or the discount doesn't impact the sales, this is an information that this product category is not receptive to or is inelastic to discount. So this is an additional information which I got, because my general understanding is uh, discount drives the sales. Okay, so this is a different information which comes in. So this is what you need to picture, like portray in your analysis. And inconsistent access from one slide to the next. Okay, yeah, this is also pretty important. Sometimes people what they do is they use 0, 20, and 40 in one slide. Okay, in the other slide they plot like 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. They change the entire binning of the axis. Okay, or the range of the axis also differs. So this should not be done, guys, for a specific metric. Okay, if you're trying to show the sales, use the same metric for that particular product. Okay, across all the charts, because people remember the sizes of the bars as well, and they remember that okay, this much sales was there. And now, like, even though, so if you change the axis, the information get distorted. Neglecting to label charts. Okay, obviously, like, you should label the charts as well. Okay, the values, the x-axis, the y-axis, the titles, everything, and not following common conventions, like, whatever is expected. Like, okay, what are the color gradients? Okay, or what are the different charts? Like, you can't be making bar chart for numeric data, right? Or any other. So there are different types of data charts, guys, which is available in Excel, Power BI, or Tableau as well, like area chart, line chart. So follow the common conventions, like I also mentioned, right? Red, green, and the color coding, it should be used in what manner. Okay, so those conventions should be followed. Okay, how do we make bad charts better? So this is an example of pretty versus useful chart. This is a pretty chart, this is a useful chart. So first look at the pretty chart. Okay, so what is your understanding from this pretty chart? Take a minute. This looks pretty, isn't it? Like, you have clouds, you have greens, a lot of things. But guys, the eventual idea is to draw some information out of out of these charts, isn't it? Some insights. Without that, any chart is useless, isn't it? If you don't have any insights, it's useless. So the thing is, here it might have taken a lot of effort, but see what they have done. A, B, C, D. It is in the alphabetical order, and they've made peaks and troughs. So if I look at this point, I can't say whether this is the minima, global minima, or a local minima. Isn't is it the least of all the data, or I have to look at the entire data point? If I want to get an understanding with respect to others, I have to then see the entire chart. The simplest example is the moment I ask you guys, out of these points, which is the fourth highest point, you will get confused. Like, okay, which one is the fourth highest? One, two, three. Is this the fourth? So fourth or fifth? So fourth or fifth highest. So you will get confused whether it is this one, or this one, or this one. So these kind of charts create more confusion than information, even though they have been, like, you have used given a lot of effort. But look at this, it's pretty simple, straightforward, not time consuming. Okay, this is the biggest contributor, then Superior, then Louisville, Lafayette, Erie. So all these places, in the orders now. Okay, and bar charts solve the problem. So rather than creating pretty charts, focus on creating informative charts. Simple. Okay. Poor access choice. We Okay. So obviously, like, in this case, so there is a reversal in the trend, right? Like, there is a reversal value, 20, 22%, 25%. Never do this. Okay, this is not a right practice. Sometimes, so basically, generally we always follow this pattern where we increase the value from 0 to 5, 10. So it always increases as we go upwards, it never decreases, guys. Okay. uh, okay, so this is one thing which you should never do. There is something which is called, guys, a secondary y-axis, isn't it? Let me just talk about that as well here. See, just think, if you are plotting revenue versus, let's say, final profit, okay, of, let's say, Walmart. So Walmart revenue will be in the order of, let's say, 600 billion, 700 billion dollars, isn't it? The profit will be pretty less, 5 billion, 10 billion dollars. Okay, so if you plot profits, let's say, draw a line chart for revenue and you draw a line chart for profits. Is it a right idea to plot them on the same axis, like 0, 10, 20, whatever it is, 500, 600, okay, 400? The revenue will be so high and the profits line chart will be pretty low, right? So this makes the visualization pretty uncomfortable. So in this scenario, what we generally do is we create secondary axes. This is one axis, 0, 100, 200, 300, okay, and then 500. We create a secondary y-axis where we have 0, 10, 20, 30, and then basis this, I plot the trend. Or I plot a bar. Generally, what we do is you plot a bar chart in one axis with respect to one axis and a line chart with respect to the other axis. Okay. So through this way, so this bar chart is referred from this secondary y-axis. This is called secondary, the right-hand side one, and this is the primary y-axis. This way, I can plot both revenue and profit in one go. Otherwise, if I had just used one axis, my interpretation would not have come correctly. Okay. This is just an example, guys. So, guys, if you look at this, there is something very wrong with this chart. Okay, something very wrong. Take a minute, think what's wrong with this chart. Think. So, guys, if you just look at this, isn't it looking like 2x? Like, if you just look at the bar size, it looks like almost 2x or 2.5x of this one. But is it actually 2x? No, right? It is just marginally higher. The thing which they have done is they have started the axis itself as 5.5, 6, and then 7 here, okay? They have distorted the axis to show a very big difference, even though the difference was not that high. But the distortion, because of the distortion, it seems that it is almost twice higher than this. So let me give you like a funny example, not nothing very serious. But whenever news channels, right, you see uh, people comparing India versus Pakistan. They compare a lot of like tankers, missiles, all these new channels. They will use like they might use distorted axis. Like okay, uh, India has 110 and Pakistan has let's say uh, I'm just giving like a dummy example, guys. Let's say India has Pakistan has 80 tanks and India has 110 tanks. Okay, so if you start the axis from 70, you will see 10 as this much, but you will see 40, right? Because the difference is 110. And so this will look 4 times higher, 4x higher. So it will give you an understanding that this is a 4x higher than the Pakistan one. But so, guys, don't get biased. So pictures can lie as well. Data, like the charts, can lie if they are presented wrongly. Okay, so the charts are important for conveying the information, but sometimes people use it to distort the information as well. So please be aware of that. Okay, everywhere, guys, people use this to see. Sometimes they say that no, I want to highlight the difference. No, some places it's fine. So in this place, it is like see again, you are trying to basically you truncate the axis. Okay, so what's happening here is okay. So this is what being shown. So in some cases, you need to start with a different axis. Okay. So in this case, it was not right, isn't it? This was the right approach. In this case, you need to truncate the axis because just understand this, guys. Okay. What people would be saying that there is nothing much, there is no material difference coming in the data, right? So not much difference. But if you truncate the axis between 70 to 80 and see that the numbers were pretty stable around 75 mark, but now they have started increasing. This validates that there has been certain policy changes or something has been done. Because of this there is an upward trend. But if you just plot from the zero, you will never be able to identify this upward trend, isn't it? So in cases where okay, so what is the so in what scenarios you should truncate and what scenario you should not truncate? So Truncation is always done when you are trying to see the short term effect, like, okay, something, what is the change which has happened in the short term, in the near term, okay, is it fluctuating or not fluctuating, okay. So you want to identify any short term trend. And if analyzing a very long term data, cyclic data, then you should not truncate the axis, okay. So this was clearly evident when you have truncated the axis, but not here, okay. Here they will say that there is no improvement, but there has started some improvement, okay. And obviously, if I ask you one thing, uh, how do you validate that this is a trend but not a noise? Think on this, okay. Like, this is not a noise but a trend. How do you validate this? The answer will be in the mu and sigma. You compute the mu of this entire data before this, and what is the standard deviation. If the standard deviation of these data points is very high, which means these data points doesn't belong to this cluster, isn't it? So uh, read about that. How do you validate a data point, whether they're different from the average or not? Basically, null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Yeah. So what we see here is, let's say, this chart. Does this chart add any information, guys? If you start from this zero Fahrenheit, this chart doesn't capture any information, okay. To give you, so basically what's happening here is the temperature doesn't fluctuate much. It is fluctuating, but because since we have started from zero axis, we're not able to see this, isn't it? I'll give you a more relatable example. Coca-Cola is one of the biggest companies, right? Beverages companies. Coca-Cola. The entire sales of Coca-Cola in a year will be in millions of liters. Like, okay, let's say in a month or in a day. Let's say in a day, okay. It is in millions of liters, right? So let's say the fluctuation across every day will be, if you plot from zero, right? 0 mil, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it will be very minimal. Okay. Like, generally weekends the work consumption increases and weekdays it decreases a bit. But that you will never be able to see if you plot from zero. The moment you start plotting from that 4.5 million axis to 5.5 million axis, then you will see certain trends, okay, some trends, some features. So whenever the absolute values are really high, right, and you want to monitor the minor deviations or minor cyclical patterns, trends, or seasonality, then you have to cut, basically you have to truncate the axis, guys, okay. Because if you just plot the overall, it will remain more or less stable, okay. One more one more uh, like, if you are from data science background or analytics background, in these scenarios, right, generally what happens is people say that they have achieved 3% model accuracy, 2% model accuracy. Don't get swayed that this is a very good model, isn't it? Because a 5.5 million or 5 million in a sale, a deviation of 2-3% is too much, isn't it? So basically, not in terms of value, like percentages, you should look in terms of values as well. You should look at both ways. Like, just understand this, guy. Okay, if the value is 5 million actual value and you predicted 5.2 million, okay, your model is predicting 5.2 million. The error is how much? 0.2 divided by 5. I think 1 by, so basically let's say 4%. The error seems pretty small, isn't it? But in actuality, 5 million and 5.2 million, the difference is very high. This can lead to a lot of wastages or mismanagement. Okay. So in such scenarios, you have to think of like the values as well, like MAPE. So MAPE and RMSE both has to be computed in this scenario. Okay. So yeah, like, these kind of scenarios might give you a wrong idea of the accuracies. The trend is more apparent when we use more realistic access. Okay, so obviously, like when we discussed about temperatures, right? Temperature generally hovers within a certain range. But when you shorten the axis or truncate the axis, you will clearly see a trend. At an overall level, you will might not notice a significant trend. You might notice a slight blip, but this blip is too much in terms of temperature, which doesn't fluctuate much, isn't it? So even in that scenario, in the Coca-Cola, the demand when the demand remains almost stable, so you should truncate the axis, because truncating will only help you understand the small patterns in the data. Okay, if you just look at the overall, like from the zero axis, the temperature, it will still remain the same, and you will be feeling that global warming is not coming and all. But if you shorten the axis and then you will see the trend, then you will get scared, like, yeah, definitely there is a temperature change which is happening. How not to make a pie chart, basically. So pie charts in this case, guys, what is the problem with this pie chart? The sum is not 100, right? Like, you it doesn't make sense here, isn't it? 60%, 64%. So in these cases, so people love pie charts. So, but what I would say is only draw pie charts when it's relevant, right? So in this case, the drug chart, bar chart would be pretty relevant. Okay, property, drug, public order, violence, all these things. Yeah. How not to make a pie chart? This you should also know, guys, because a lot of times we make a, like, the pie charts are plain vanilla like this format, right? But sometimes people use a very distorted version of pie chart, like the angular form of pie chart. See, this, look at this green pie. Okay, in actual sense, it is not more than 25%. But because we have shown this at an angle, it looks like it is almost 40%. This is half and this is 40% of that. But in actual scenario, it is not. So let's look at this. It is 23% actually. But does it look like 23%? So this type of distortion, a lot of times people do, or we also, like, sometimes what happens is you want to highlight certain categories, but not the right practice, basically. Okay, it might help you achieve short-term goals, but it is not the right practice to show a distorted view of these pie charts. It's basically, yeah. So it's all about the storytelling, guys. Ultimately, charts are about how well you tell the story. These are some group bar charts. Okay, so rather than this, I would see see we have seen this chart, right? But rather than this, I would have gone with a line chart, because I would have seen, like, what is the levels across different products, isn't it? So line chart would also have been better in this scenario, like this. Okay, the prices across time. So line charts are very useful in this scenarios whenever you are tracking data across time. Okay, but yeah, if your line chart yields something like this, don't use that, because it will create more confusion than clarity. Yep. Worst case scenario, highlight the one which you want to do it. Otherwise, leave that. Okay. So obviously, like, I just wanted to talk about certain more aspects. The chart chooser, you can find it from this place. But generally, what happens is, guys, in case of comparison, look at this. Use column charts, line charts for trends. Okay, the the basically the group bar charts, the area charts as well. Okay, people, some, like, these days people are loving area charts as well. Explore that as well. Distribution charts, as in the histograms, scatter charts. Okay, these helps me understand. Oh, we didn't, okay, let me talk about histograms as well. So, guys, histograms are nothing but, whenever you have numeric data, right, you have to create some bins. Okay, 0 to 10, 10 to 20. Let's say age, we have age distribution. Okay, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and then 40, and then 50 plus. Okay, so we create some. This is basically how, what is the amount of data in every bin. Okay, this is my bin, and this is the frequency. How much data is lying in a particular bin. So whenever you make a histogram, right, these bins are created automatically. But what I suggest is create your custom bins basis the problem statement. If you are trying to solve, let's say, if you're trying to uh, do some analysis on the market size or market share of companies like Toyota or Maruti, then 0 to 10 doesn't make any sense, isn't it, guys? 0 to 10 is not the target audience. So why do you even put 0 to 10 bin? Or even below 18, you are not supposed to drive, isn't it? So 0 to 18 will be your first category, and then 18 to 25, 25 to 30, 30 to 50, and then 50 plus. You can then see, make your bins which can be profiled. Like 0 to 18 is like teenagers or pre-adults. 18 to 25 is young adults. 25 to 30 is like uh, young professionals. Okay, 30 to 50 is basically stable professionals who are like financially a bit secured, and 50 plus is like the people who are the senior citizens. So always make bins which relates to the business as well. Because think now, let's say Johnson baby powder is analyzing the market, right? Will this bin make sense in case of Johnson baby powder? It doesn't, or it won't, right? So then you have to tweak the bins like 0 to 6 months, 6 months to 2 years, 2 to 5 years, 5 to 15 years. So those binning, if you want to develop smart charts, you have to custom these bins as well. Okay. Then composition, obviously, like the pie charts, the area chart. This is waterfall chart, obviously. Uh, in Shark Tank, you must be listening a lot of what is the split, what is the unit economics, right? What is the revenue, then what is the COGS, what is the operating salaries, what is the gross margin, net margin. So these can be depicted very well using a waterfall chart. And then relationship, obviously, the scatter charts, bubble charts are good for showing relationships. In this case, see, in certain scenarios, pie charts are disliked because, guys, understand, pie charts will only make sense if you have a good enough difference across different categories, isn't it? In this, even though one and two, I can't say which one is higher, right? Or two or three, how much, what is the difference? So basically, if you have categories which are quite different from each other, then pie charts makes a lot of sense. Okay, if not, then make a simple bar chart like this, isn't it? So bar charts are either made in ascending order or a descending order. This people make, but you should not. Should only make this if your x-axis is in time. Okay, time, because time I can't reverse, like December here, January here, April here. Okay, those things you should like avoid. If you really need to make a pie chart, because a lot of people love it, don't use 3D, don't tilt it, don't explode a lot because it distort the information. I think we have already discussed all these things, guys. Okay. Group the data. Let's say if you have 100 different categories, would you be able to make pie charts? No, right? So what do? You create some groupings. You say that you top five are this, and then the others are this. This is called as others, as the remaining categories. Okay, group them basically. So eventually, guys, what happens is dashboards are like, this is what you need to achieve at the end. Once you have a good understanding of data, there are three main components of any dashboards. Okay, one is like the financial. So how I split a dashboard is, first is you basically talk about the company's financial company health. Like, let's say the key purpose of the dashboard is to track revenue. Okay, so I'll keep all the metrics of revenue at the first level. This is my level one. Okay, basically what is the revenue, what is the cost, what is my profit, okay, what is my number of customers, average order value. Okay, average order value, what is my average delivery time. this these are the indicators of financial health of the company. Okay, or average, in case of a e-commerce business, let's say, because these are the KPIs of e-commerce, right? Let's say number of customers, average order value, average delivery time, average return rate. Okay, so these are my financial metrics. This is the first level metrics which you should have. Okay, static one, like what is the current state and what is the trend, so that I will know whether I am been doing well in the past or I am doing bad compared to the past. Okay, so this is the first level. The second level would be also try to develop charts around customers and products. So three levels. First is overall financial level. The second is customer level. Third is product level. When I say customers, like what is the age distribution, gender distribution, what is the basically top 10 customers, okay, all these things. What is the geography like this, okay, from where my customers are coming in. When I say products, what are my category split, subcategory split, what is my top products, okay, all these things. So split any dashboard into three sections. One is overall metrics, static, or we can say as of now, like as of date, plus trend. Okay, then you look at customer metrics, and then you look at product metrics, and then in other cases you can have department like function oriented metrics as well, but these are the backbones of dashboards. Okay, yeah, these are the like backbones, or you can say components of a dashboard. Always try to understand the KPIs of every industry, guys. Okay, what are the key KPIs of different industry? Like in case of e-commerce, what is site traffic, what is conversion rate? Basically, if 100 people went to the app, how many transactions happened by those 100 customers? Like 10 customers did some transaction, so your conversion rate is 10%. Average abandonment rate, order value, okay, customer lifetime value, okay. So every industry has different KPIs, like banking industry, retail industry, social media industry. In social media, we have what is the let's say engagement, like what is the engagement rate, what is the monthly active user, daily active user, okay, average time spent on the app. So multiple, so every industry has different metrics. So to make a smart dashboard, you should, like, whenever you start it, you try to learn about the KPIs of that industry, and then you will be able to make some smart dashboards. And dashboards can be made using either Power BI or Tableau. Okay, so both are great tools. There are certain comparison between Power BI and Tableau as well, which you can see here. Like Power BI is a bit low cost, it's a bit higher priced. Okay, user friendly, this is a bit more user friendly. Integration with Microsoft products, obviously, because they are required by Microsoft. uh, Fast and secure data processing, and there are certain limitations as well, integration wise, or difficulty in processing complex data. So it depends on what is your requirement, guys. Okay, if you are basically dealing with massive amount of data, you can basically prefer this. Even this can handle those things, but customization is a lot in Tableau. Okay, it is limited, but for a beginner or for an initial learner, Power BI is good. Okay, so I think this is what I wanted to convey today, and this is what, like, maybe you have gotten something from this session, uh, but explore, guys. I think this would have given you some basic background of how to start looking at charts in a better way. How do you create more impactful charts to drive your impact, okay, in the decision making? So that was all from my side, guys. Any questions?
Thank you, Sham.
So if there are any questions, Nimita, we can take that. Otherwise, I think that was all from my side.
We can wind up, Sham.
Okay. So thanks all. I think if you have any doubts, you can drop some comments. Otherwise, all the best, and yeah, follow these rules for that data visualization in order to make your communication more perfect. Thanks. Thanks, team.
Thank you.